Hey everyone, Lisa here, Lisa One Creating Balance. I'm here with Russ,
Hi.
and today we are going to talk about sacred space and honoring the sacred space of your partner.
It's in honoring your sacred space. So first we're going to talk about um, what a sacred space is, and that's a piece of your home or part of your yard that you can go to be relaxed in, to meditate in, to reflect in, and you know that it is a safe space to do so.
So, sacred space can literally be anywhere in your place, wherever you choose to create it. You can have a sacred space that's a healing room. You can have a sacred space that is in another part of your living area. You can have a separate room completely for a sacred space. And sacred spaces may also have different uses.
The different uses you could do with is it can be
A healing space,
a healing space.
it can have an altar in it.
Yeah. It can have artwork in it. It can have crystals. It can have plants. It can have what else?
Candles, incense, herbs, whatever it is that you choose your sacred space to be. You create this, and you create this with your intention. And it's always very important to set your intention when creating your sacred space. So basically, your sacred space can be what it is you wish to put in it that's sacred and makes that place sacred to you.
Yeah, space where things that honor you is really what it can be very important to you. Whether that be just, 2 or 3 decks of cards, tarot or oracle, or, something like that. It can be your journal. It can be something that a very close relative gave to you. It can be any number of things that honor you and in that space.
So, why a sacred space? Why would one create a sacred space? The first sacred space I'm going to speak to is a healing space. And this is a space that you would create where you would see clients. So, in this space, it's going to be a little different than a personal sacred space. So, we share a healing space. And so, within our healing space, we have energy sprays, we have candles and sage, sweetgrass,
Instruments.
different music. We have a table that we've got set up. We also have different things on the wall. We have a fan and a parasol and some tapestries. And so, in this particular sacred space that we share, there are many things in there that we work with together, crystals, certain crystals, as well as certain types of scent and sound. And one of the things when we talk about a sacred space, what you do to honor that for your partner as well as yourself. The first thing I recommend is, should you decide to take something out or put something in, always be respectful of the other person and ensure that you inform them of what you've done. This is respecting the space, it's respecting the other person, and it's also respecting how sacred that item may be to somebody else.
Yeah. It's always a good idea, and we're just going to get back to this communication thing between people who work together in energy. And it's communication and talking about letting the other person know that, yes, you can use this particular object when you are there, when you're with a client, or whether you are just there by yourself, but be respectful of it. And I think that opens up the trust and being respected of the other person, being respectful of the other person.
Absolutely. And so within a healing space, that is what the primary use of this room is for us. It is for us to see clients and to us to do our energy work in there. Now, we also have a personal sacred space. And why would we have a personal sacred space? There's a few reasons. Meditation.
Meditation, just having that space that you know is your own, which can be very important to you. Knowing that you can go there, not be bothered. You can go there, be comfortable, go there and know you're protected.
Mm-hmm. You may also use this space to receive channeled messages. Maybe it's to do writing or journaling.
Yeah.
It could also be for connecting in with yourself, connecting in with your guides. It could be for you to find a sense of peace. We all need that place that we can go and find that centering peace within us. The other thing you may want to use the space for is for practicing of your skills.
Yeah, you can just even reading cards, keeping track of what the cards say, channeling, writing, and for myself, it's speaking in light language and practicing with that, and also at times just meditating.
Mm-hmm. And so now we're going to really delve into honoring each other's sacred space. When you have your own personal sacred space, you would hope that others would treat that space in the way that you treat it, and that you will treat their space in that same way.
Yes, it especially when partners or couples are involved, it's very important to really honestly and truly respect the other person's space. We are fortunate enough to have a little bit of a larger residence where we've got a separate room for a healing area. And we also have, Lisa has set up a little area for herself. I've got one area for myself. But so we're very fortunate in that. If you've got a smaller living space, then it is really important to just respect the other person's sacred area.
Mm-hmm. And one of the primary ways to do that is to never assume that you can go into that space and remove or put something in it. The space is set up with an intention of the person who has created it. And anything that is removed or put in can disrupt the energy of that space. And also, if you remove something and then put it back, there's still the necessity to clear that item and reintegrate it with the space. If it's a crystal grid, it's very important that the crystal grid be realigned.
Yeah, definitely when it comes to crystals, and especially crystal grids. I'm very huge on that because I've got one set up here in the living room, one set up downstairs in my space, and I enjoy having those grids there, and being a little nitpicky on them. It drives me crazy when something goes out of whack on them. So it is really super important to just make sure that you've got permission first to either put something into that space, your partner's space or to take something out to borrow it type idea. You know, it really truly is, because as Lisa said, it interrupts and that energy that they have set up within that area. And you may not feel it because you're not used to that type of energy, but it is there. It is. And it's very important for when they come into that space that they know that nothing's changed, that the intention that they put into that space is still, excuse me, still the same. And that the energy within there flows with them.
Absolutely. And the other thing of it is you would never presume to go into that space to perform any rituals or anything really without permission from the person who has created that space. It is disrespectful of your partner to presume that you can go into their space and do your own meditation. Again, that can be disrupting of the energy in that space.
In that space, yeah. Even in our healing space, when we are clearing it or setting it up for a client, or anything like that, there will be times when I will ask Lisa, are you okay with? And the reason I ask is because it depends on the energy that she may want to put into the room at that time. It also may depend on, I need to let her know that I feel this is what should be done. I'm being guided to do this. You know, so just again, getting back to that communication thing. But it's just, again, just honoring the other person.
Mm-hmm. And should you disrupt the space unintentionally, it may happen. People are people. We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
And should, for whatever reason, and it could be that you're in the middle of a session and there is a crystal that you know where it is. And at that moment, you require it for your session. And you go in and you disrupt the grid or remove the crystal and take it with you. Should you do that, the first thing you will do is you will clear that crystal before you use it in your session. And then the next thing you do is when that person is available and you have disrupted that space, you will talk to them and you will have cleared the crystal after your use, but then you will hand it to that person and allow them to do their next steps that they require to do to reintegrate it into their sacred space. And maybe it's time for that crystal to come out of that sacred space.
Yeah, and that possibly that could be why you were led to use it that day.
Mm-hmm.
But again, just leave that up to the other person. Make sure that you do give it back to them so that they can clear it, do whatever steps they need to, their intention, that type of idea, to either put it back into their grid or to put it away for a while, that type of thing. One of the things that we were going to talk about was when we teach, have a classroom,
Mm-hmm.
honoring that space too.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have,
Creating it.
sorry?
Creating
Yeah.
it.
So when you have classes, post-COVID, and you have people in your house, and even if it's like 2 or 3 people, or if it happens to be 10, whatever, make sure that you are creating a sacred space for those people who come into your house. It's definitely a much larger area. That's very true. But again, intention is always so important in our practice and when we're doing this.
Mm-hmm. And you can create this sacred space in your home where you're going to be doing your teaching. Or if you're teaching in a hall or a center or something like that, maybe a meeting room, again, you will go in ahead of time and create the sacred space within that room, wherever it may be. And the reason that you do that is A, you want to honor the guides, the ancestors, and the ascended masters who may be joining you that day. You also want to ensure that you have a protection around the space so that people can feel safe and secure in that space, knowing that they're walking into a space that has been made that way for them. The other reason that you want to do this is that this enhances your teaching, and it enhances the energy that surrounds the teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Anything else?
When you have completed your class, it is important that you then clear the space and remove the parameters that you had set for that sacred space, especially if it's not in your home. If you are in a hall or a meeting room, it is very important that you clear out that space and that you do remove all of the stuff that you put in there to make it a sacred space.
Yeah, clear the energy, make sure that the guards that you put up on the doorways and that type of thing are gone, they're taken away, because it was your space for that time period. And after you leave, it's not your space anymore. So you have to take everything back with you.
Mm-hmm. And you also want to make sure you clear out the residual energies that are there, mainly because if somebody who's hypersensitive to energy walks into that room, it may affect them adversely.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
So when you are doing classes and you are creating sacred space, if there are two of you teaching, ensure that both of you are creating the sacred space. Have a discussion as to what that might look like. Also discuss the teaching aspect of it. What are you actually teaching, and what is going to be required for that space to be a sacred space?
Mm. Yeah, good point.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Hey, at least I agreed. Come on.
So, so you're aware, it's very important that you do communicate with each other on sacred space and honor each other's sacred space, be respectful, and treat that space as sacred. And be of the mind that when you walk into somebody else's sacred space, that is their intention, their energy, and that's where they connect in. And it's important that you understand that it is not for you to disrupt the energy,
Yep.
to put energy in there that is not
Yep.
for that space.
Yep.
That is not the space that you will connect in with your guides and ascended masters. You will create your own space for that. So be mindful that when you are in your own sacred space, you wish other people to treat it as you do.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah. So being mindful that you do the same.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you'd like to share?
No. Except Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining us. And we hope that your Christmas is absolutely is going to be unusual this year, but be mindful, be thankful,
Be well,
and have a Merry Christmas. And what are we doing next week?
Next week, we are going to be doing some single card pulls. So if you are around next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Russ and I are going to be doing some single card pulls for people.
Yeah, looking forward to it because it's always fun when we do this.
And when I post up make the post for that, I will set the intention for what that may look like.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And if there's anything that you would like us to chat about working in partnership with your significant other, spousal equivalent, husband, wife, partner,
partner.
Please
whatever.
let us know. Send
Yeah.
us a message.
Send us a message. Let us know if there's something you want us to cover, because we'll definitely do that for you.
Absolutely. So thanks again for joining us today. Have a very Merry Christmas and stay curious.
Merry Christmas.